Okay, good evening, everyone. The time is 6:05. This is the Township of Springfield Board of Adjustment meeting for June 18th, 2024. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Notice was published on December 13th in the Star Ledger, one of the official newspapers for the Township of Springfield, for the year 2023, and posted in the Annex Building on December 14th, 2023. Can we please stand to salute the flag?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please have a roll call?
Mr. Stephen Hochstein?
Here.
Mr. Michael Weckstein?
Here.
Mr. Stephen Furstenbaum? Mr. Rajay A. Sahada? Ms. Marla Naparano? Ms. Anika Dotson?
Here.
Vice Chair Mark Cunningham? And Chairwoman Jody Cohen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, the first order of business is the resolutions that are up for memorialization. The first is application 2024-7, 30 Mohawk Drive, block 2102, lot 10. Have the members of the board have an opportunity to review the resolution. Are there any questions or comments? If there are none, is there a motion to adopt?
I'll move. I'll second.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein? Abstain? Mr. Furstenbaum? And Chair Cohen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Second resolution for adoption is application 2024-8, 145 Short Hills Avenue, block 608, lot 10. Has every board member had an opportunity to review, and are there questions or comments? If there are none, is there a motion to adopt?
I'll move. I'll second.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Furstenbaum? Yes. And Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Sorry, and Chair Cohen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next order of business is a hearing. Oh, sure, we could do that first. So Share Alliance, which is application 2024-10, it is 37 Church Mall, blocks 202 and 208, lots 23 and 3. This is an application for preliminary and final site plan for use variance. That application will not be heard this evening. So if you are here on that application, we are informing you now that that application will not be heard this evening. We do not have a date when the next hearing on that application will take place.
And just for the record, it's clear, that's a typo. It's not 2024-10, it's application 2024-2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, we are going to move on to the hearing portion of the agenda, and I'm going to turn this over to our attorney to walk every member of the board through the process.
Thank you. There has been scheduled before the board today a hearing to determine whether a member's absences are excused, or if not, then statutorily he would automatically be off the board. There are two laws which are in play here. One is State Statute 48:9-12.1, which is a general statutory section which deals with members of all boards appointed by municipalities and counties for that matter. And in relevant part, what 48:9-12.1 says is that a seat shall be deemed vacant whenever a member, without being excused by a majority of the authorized members of such body, fails to attend and participate in meetings of such body for a period of 8 consecutive weeks or for 4 consecutive regular meetings. And I'll come back to that when we talk about the local ordinance. At the conclusion of such period, the board may determine whether they are excused absences, and the board may refuse to excuse only with respect to those failures to attend that are due to legitimate illness. And then by ordinance, there may be a lowering absentee threshold by the municipality. So that's the state statute which controls, except for that last section about the threshold. There is a local ordinance, section 2-69, removal for absenteeism. I had lengthy discussions about this section with the township attorney because in many ways it conflicts with the state statute, in which case, by law, the state statute controls. But one thing that the local ordinance does, in accordance with 40A:9-12.1, which I just read parts to you, sets the threshold at 3 consecutive meetings rather than 4, which is authorized by the state statute. The local ordinance also provides, and this is not contrary, though it's in addition to the state statute, upon request of the member to be removed, a hearing will be held to determine whether the absences were excusable. And that's the purpose of the meeting tonight, for the board members to determine whether the absences are or not excusable. If the 3 absences are not, then it's an automatic removal from the board. You've each been provided with the documentation, if you will. It's 3 emails from Mr. Sadeh concerning his missing of 3 meetings, and there's also a chart which documents attendance and indicates that he did miss 3 meetings in a row. Unless the board members have any questions, then I think it would be appropriate to allow the member to address the board on his own behalf.
Should I be sworn first, or just a member of the board?
No, you should be sworn. You swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I swear.
Can you state your full name and address for the record, please?
Raja Saada. I would like to depart from stating my address, given the climate of this community.
You live within this?
I live within
city of-
Springfield.
the township of Springfield?
I've lived within Springfield for 11 years.
Thank you.
So I'll go and address the absences, the 3 consecutive absences, and I'll go in reverse chronological order. And 2 of them, not 3, 2, the board, at least the board secretary and council has notice of them. And now that they have the emails, they have notice of them as well, but everyone's going to hear it. Last month, which is May, the reason I was not here is because one of my children who had a recital, I don't know if that's the right word, but it was at Dayton. That was the same evening as the zoning board meeting. So if there's any other parents who were here, were there at that recital for the middle schools, I'm sorry, for the later elementary schools, you may have seen me there. The month before, that was May, you may have heard Mr. Bergen indicate that the Share Alliance application that was supposed to be heard today was put off. My office at the time was representing the Share Alliance, and I did not want my appearance at all at the meeting to in any way, shape, or form influence any member of this board from any kind of decision it otherwise may have objectively made. So that was the only, I believe, use variance that was on the agenda at that time, hence why I elected as a matter of safety and as a matter of just precaution, not attending that meeting. And then the first of the earliest of those, that's the March meeting, I was not in attendance because one of my other children, thankfully, is a pretty good soccer player, and that was tryout season, and I had to take him to a tryout for a very, very high-level club. So those are the 3 stated reasons for my absences. The latter 2, chronologically, the board is aware of the first one, now the board is aware. This transparently is a pretextual hearing. No objective board would remove someone for any of those 3 absences, let alone all 3 of them. There is a witch hunt that is ongoing in this township. I am proudly of Palestinian descent. I've been to Palestine. I know what Palestine looks like.
Excuse me, this
This is
here,
it's a pretextual hearing, and I would like to state that this is a witch hunt.
you stated that, but
I know you want to, I know and I respect your position, I'm a lawyer too. You want to try to limit the scope of the discussion. This is the real reason why we're having this outrageous hearing.
you done?
Unless you let me continue, would you like me to
I-
continue
I-
on that grounds?
No, I think it's inappropriate. The question here is the 3 absences and whether the board finds the reasons to be sufficient to excuse them.
That's the stated reason, not the real reason. Thank you.
Chair, it would be appropriate if the board members have any questions.
Okay, I'm going to turn it to the board for any questions. None. So I just want to put it on the record that we, as a board, have not been able to get enough members to hear certain applications. So I actually raised the issue of attendance prior to any topic that you're raising at this hearing with our attorney. And so that's how the discussion started. We did not have a quorum last meeting. We had issues with quorum the meeting before, and attendance, I think, is important when you do these volunteer positions, even if you have to recuse yourself from the matter that your office is representing, you could still appear for all other applications and then remove yourself at the time that the recusal occurs. So I just want to put that on the record. Any board members, again, have any questions or have any statements that they would like to put on the record?
Yeah, Bruce, could you just define again what an absence, is there a definition what an excused and not excused absence is? I'm sorry, I just,
There is no definition. What the state statute says, the board may refuse to exercise only with respect to those failures to attend and participate which are not due to legitimate illness. Meaning, it's sort of in the reverse, but illness is the only reason that the board must accept. It doesn't mean it has to be only illness, but in as much as there's no claim of illness here, that's not the issue. So it's really up to the board members here to determine whether they think the absences were excusable. And again, it reaches the threshold being 3 in a row. Beyond that, there can be absences, but 3 in a row is what triggers the state statute. If you want to make a statement, I will.
I was trying to help, it's the ordinance, not the statute, but be that as it may.
I have a question. Is it possible to say that if he misses another meeting, then we can kind of address anything?
I don't think the law provides for that.
Okay. I was-
The issue is here whether the board wishes to excuse the absences. If you do, then inasmuch as the member is here, then it would only kick in again if there were 3 more consecutive absences. If you determine not to excuse the absences, then the law automatically deems the seat to be vacant.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Bergen, I didn't hear the last part of that.
If the board does not deem the absences to be excusable, then the law deems the seat to be vacant automatically.
My question is, and my recollection is last year, sitting next to Mr. Sadeh for a year. I don't remember whether there was a pattern of non-appearance during that past year or the year before. Is there any such record that would illuminate that?
I'll testify to it. So generally, I only miss meetings when I'm overseas or there is some meaningful event for one of my children, which is rare, like not practice, a consequential tryout, or a recital, or illness, which I can't even remember being absent for an illness. Generally, I am here, rain, sleet, or snow.
Are there any other questions from the board? Are we gonna walk through each of them and vote whether they're excused or not excused? Or are we gonna vote on whether all 3 are excused? How do you think that we should proceed here?
Can I ask a question about the April 11th? The correspondence, it says that Raj asked if he should come because he has a client that's going to be here, and your response was, no need for you to sit out the whole meeting, but you should leave the room during the conflict matter. But then if he doesn't come, is that considered unexcused or excused? Like, how does that work? You had asked for him to come, but was there other, I was just curious as to how that's interpreted.
Just to complete that record, I also indicated, just out of an overabundance of caution, and I think I put over in parentheses, I will not attend the meeting. And I believe at that meeting, and please don't hold me to this, but I believe that there were no other use variances on at that time. And I believe that even that application was carried. I mean, it was carried. It's carried to today, and it's carried to a date to be determined. I'll leave the answer to your question to the powers that be.
It seems like based on the law, it's excused if it's an illness, and it's not excused otherwise.
Okay.
I think what Mr. Bergen said is that it's automatically excused if it's and I'm quoting one of the laws, a legitimate illness. Everything else is up to the board.
How do you propose that we proceed? Are we going to look at these individually or as a whole?
I think that's up to the board. If someone can make a motion, either yay, nay, or as to any or all of them, and then the board will vote. I'm sorry?
It's a maternity leave. We did review that as well. Okay, so I'm gonna propose that we walk through each one individually, and we can move either as an excused absence or as an unexcused absence. So the first one I'm looking at is the March meeting, which would be the soccer tryouts. Is there a motion either way? Do we want to give the board a 5-minute break?
Again?
A 5-minute break so they can like,
Sure, if the board needs time to.
do you want to digest the information that you've received and we could take 5 minutes?
Just to be clear, this isn't what the reason was then. It's what I have in front of me, and I know you testified. It says I was unable to attend. So this isn't really what we're looking at. It's a testimony, correct?
I didn't hear what you said.
This says I was unable to attend, just using this one. You testified there was a different reason why you didn't come, correct?
I don't think there was any reason set forth in that meeting. Not different reason. There was no reason. In the March, you were talking about the March hearing?
Right.
There was no hearing expressed, there was no reason expressed, excuse me. There was no reason asked.
Oh, I thought you testified something differently a couple minutes ago.
No, I certainly did not testify something differently. So the March meeting, in the email, Ms. Law, the board secretary, asked for confirmation as to whether we can attend. I am pretty responsive to that. And that time, I indicated I could not attend. The reasons were never asked of me until this meeting was taking place. That's why I missed the March hearing.
Okay, and the April meeting was the soccer tryouts?
No, the March meeting was the soccer tryout. The April meeting was the Share Alliance application.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you testified the reason why you missed March was the soccer tryouts now?
Correct, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to, okay. And can we get clarification for the April meeting then?
Sure, that was the Share Alliance application. My office represented the Share Alliance. I don't know if you were here when they first appeared for, I think it was an appeal of Mr. Disco's decision. And once they, I think, realized that an appeal wasn't the option, they withdrew their appeal and engaged my office, and the rest is history. We no longer represent them, for what it's worth.
Thank you.
Do you have another spouse that can go to these soccer events and such?
So I have 3 children. We are already outnumbered. We play zone at home. I am thankfully assigned to one, while my bride is double-teamed. No, not for those. And even for, I can't believe I have to explain this, but very often on Tuesdays, there's practice. My son is at practice now. Whenever he has practice, again, or anything inconsequential, someone else can take him. We thankfully have a good, large support system, but not for something consequential.
Okay, we're gonna go one at a time. I'm gonna start, we'll go with the order in which they were addressed. So we're gonna start backwards. The May meeting, it's been put on the record that Board Member Sadeh needed to attend his daughter's recital. I too attended that, but I came to the meeting first for an hour because it did not start until an hour after the meeting started. So I'm going to move that that is not excused based on the statute.
I would like to ask a question before the motion is heard. What instrument did your child play or the like?
I got there before it even started.
Okay,
He plays the trumpet.
all right. So the band was after the orchestra. My daughter plays the violin.
I was there for that too.
Okay.
Is there a second? If there is not a second, is there a motion?
Chair, I would note that in the absence of a motion to excuse, then the absence is unexcused.
Okay. So we're either going to vote that a motion that it's excused, and if we do not, great. So for the May meeting, is there a motion that is excused absence?
I'm confused. What am I voting on?
The May meeting, the request for an excused absence from the May meeting.
So a yes vote means,
Well, there hasn't been a motion yet, so there's nothing to vote on.
but a yes vote means what? And a no vote means what?
It depends what the motion is.
Oh, okay, so there's no motion to address.
Correct.
So we're asking to make a motion that the May was unexcusable. Can that be the motion?
No, that it was excusable. The starting point is that it's
Excused.
not excused.
Not excused.
And this board needs to determine if they wish to excuse any of the three absences.
Okay. Is there a motion to excuse the May absence?
So we're making.
Seeing none, it is unexcused. Okay. Is there a motion to excuse the April absence where the board member did not attend because he needed to recuse himself from the Share Alliance application?
I'll move that motion. To excuse the absence.
Is there a second? None? And the March meeting, where the member stated that he had to attend a consequential tryout for his son's soccer.
I'll move to excuse that one.
Is there a second? Seeing none.
Based on the lack of action by the board to determine one or more of the absences were excused, they are considered by statute and ordinance unexcused, and the seat is now automatically vacant.
Next order of business are the applications this evening. The first application that we're going to call is application 2024-117 Mapes Avenue, Block 3507, Lot 8. This is a request for side yard, rear yard, and lot coverage variances to install a shed and patio.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, how are you?
Doing well. So I had come to the meeting last.
Before we begin, if I can just swear you in, please.
Oh, sure.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do, I swear.
Please state your full name. Give us your home address.
Hosta Bhatt and 117 Mapes Avenue,
Thank you very
Springfield.
much.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what you're looking to do and your
So-
reasons for doing so, please.
Yes, so I'm a brand-new homeowner, and first time I installed the shed, I swear I did not know that I needed a permit. So I found out later, after putting the shed, that somebody in the community reached out to the town hall and complained. So currently, the shed is 3 feet from the property line on both sides, and I didn't know the ordinance is for 5, so I'm asking for an excuse. I walked around the neighborhood several times. There's these sheds literally on the property line, on the fence. So there's like barely any room. So there are sheds all over that are, and with 5 feet, if you think about it, it just looks hideous. Smack almost in the middle of my yard. It's not aesthetically pleasing. I don't think anybody would want to put a shed and lose all that ground, in the backyard space. So that's one. And second is I'm trying to put a patio, like a paver patio, so just me and my family can have like a little backyard space or hangouts, cookouts, whatever. So, and I know there was a water mitigation plan that was also proposed as well, and the contractor has been addressed and told.
Thank you. Members of the board, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do. Are there any windows or doors on the sides that are facing, that are 3 feet away?
No.
In the shed?
No.
It's just a solid wall on those sides?
Yeah, it's an 8x10 shed, and the base is it's a cement base. So, yeah, it's just a very common shed. I can show you a picture if you'd like.
The other question I have is, there's fences between the shed and your property and your neighbors, right?
Yes.
Is there enough space to go in there?
Oh, yeah.
To clean it out and
Oh,
service it?
very easily. I can put my lawnmower through. So it's a 21 or 22-inch deck on the lawnmower. So it goes right through very
You
easily.
can paint it and maintain
Oh,
the
yeah,
shed?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I do.
Good luck entering this into evidence.
Just for the record, as you're looking for it on your phone, we're going to call this picture A1. Mr. Bott, can you make a hard copy of that or even electronic copy and send it to the board secretary so it can be in the record? And if other board members want to see it, and you probably should just hold it up so the public could see, because it's part of the record.
And to answer your question, I do not have a picture that is more on the left, but the left is just the rest of the yard. There isn't,
Is there a reason then that the shed could not be moved a couple of feet over?
it's cemented in. That's the only reason I can't do it. And like I addressed earlier, if I move the shed 2 feet over, it kind of comes almost middle of the property, which looks very weird. All my neighbors have their sheds very much to the side, and it's, that was just for aesthetic purposes. And there's plenty of room, and I'm, happy to show you the picture again if you want. But There's plenty of room on the back and on the side of it.
The main reason is you don't want to re-cement.
I'm sorry?
So the main reason is you do not wish to re-cement.
Submit
In other words,
to move the shed?
to move the shed and have to put more cement or concrete or whatever it is
Yeah,
at the different location.
correct, yeah.
Madam Chair, I just want to let you know that I uploaded his picture to the Google Drive, so anybody who has access and wants to see the picture, it's under his application.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So you're going for a variance for the shed and for lot coverage for the patio?
Patio, correct.
I don't know, does our town engineer have any input on either of those?
Well, I think it's been explained why the variance is required for the shed, 5 feet versus 30 feet. Lot coverage is at 44.5%. Permitted is 36.
Do you see any negative impact on the neighbors, or?
They provided a sketch of what they intend to do by tying loop drains to the dry well and overflow to the street and it's had a size yet, and if there's an affirmative vote, that can be sized, so conceptually, there's a means in place, even if there's one of them. Still, if you grant the variance, you have a visual aesthetic.
Seems like your sketch, is that to scale at 500 feet? Because that's,
No, it's,
seems a lot, it seems like it's a lot bigger than what you sketched. 500
it's
feet.
gonna be around, close to 500 square feet. I obviously did not do it to scale, but it,
500 square feet is probably, is a substantial, this doesn't look 500 square
The
feet.
rear of the house is 40, so if you were assuming it was to scale with respect to the house, it's 35 by, call it, 13.
Okay. Maybe.
In addition to,
Any other questions? Any members of the public have any questions for the applicant? Questions for the applicant? We'll open it for comment on the application. Give us 1 second. Okay, any members of the public have any questions for the applicant? None. Okay, yes, we're gonna open it up to public comment. Yes, please come forward. We're just gonna swear you in.
Okay. I'm Maria Rodriguez, 114 Mapes Avenue.
I'm sorry, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes,
Are you both gonna testify?
yes.
Yeah, then please raise your hand.
Put your hand up.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Say yes.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Tell the truth.
Okay. Please state your name.
Alfredo Rodriguez.
Into the microphone.
Alfredo Rodriguez,
Your address?
121 Maple 7.
Thank you.
Okay, so my parents live next to Kay's house. They're literally butt up. They have absolutely no issues with the shed. They can't see the shed because of the fence, really. So it doesn't bother them at all. They have a shed, and people have sheds. So, they're great neighbors. They just had a little baby.
Can you
literally.
talk into the microphone?
They just had a baby just 2 weeks ago, little Dev. So they're new to the neighborhood, and, we just want them to feel comfortable. And the shed has no bearing on me. I live across the street, but we're very close neighbors and friends, and it's, I don't it's,
I don't want to lose him as my neighbor. I don't want anybody else to come sell the house and and move out.
They're not going anywhere.
Thank you very much.
That's all. Thank you.
And the people,
Anda, anda.
the people back me, and the
You have to talk louder.
people behind me, they got a shed right against my fence. So what's the big deal? People didn't got nothing else to do, to tell you the truth.
Okay, don't get yourself
You
in
should
trouble.
leave that alone.
Portuguese.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make sure you cancel the whole thing, because I'm gonna lose them.
Any other members of the public wish to speak? Hello.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Please state your full name and give your home address.
Abraham Fernandez, 118 Mapes Ave, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you.
So we're here in support with Kay. I love this town. I felt very comfortable in this town. I just want him to feel that same comfort that I have. Jennifer, thank you for the variance for my property. Yeah, so we're just here in support. I think this is a great town, great environment. There was a little snag with somebody ratting him out on a property line issue or a shed. I think it's a little ridiculous. But just hoping we can get the right solution here tonight and we could be going home with a variance that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairwoman, may I just, was there any water issue on the patio issue, on the patio portion of the application? That when you went by that you looked at?
No, they have a conceptual design as to how they will address the increased runoff.
Because I didn't see anything on these submissions.
It was submitted on June 17th, yes, to me at the county.
Oh, and you've reviewed it and you feel it's accepted?
It's conceptual, what they're gonna do, it has to be sized properly, but the contractor provided the sketch, meaning they'll tie the root drains at the rear of the house into a dry well with an overflow that goes to the street.
And assuming it's done as proposed, you don't have a problem?
I don't have a problem from the runoff capability of the patio.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other members of the public? Board? Okay. I am in favor of the application. I think that the applicant, as Mr. Disco pointed out, will mitigate any water issues, and I would move to grant the application.
Subject to standard language concerning runoff.
Correct.
Does that mean that that there's a caveat on the motion such that the water issue be addressed?
Yes.
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 It must be approved by the township engineer.
Yes.
But that'll be on paper with the...
It will be.
Yes, as a condition.
Did you make a motion, or did you?
I made a motion.
I will second it with the caveat that the dry well design be approved by the engineer.
Chair Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Furstenbaum?
Yes.
Ms. Naparano? Ms. Dotson? And Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Very nice to see. All right, the next application up this evening is application 2024-10-114, really? 14 Pitt Road, block 1801, lot 38. This is a request for a side yard, front yard variances for an addition on the home.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name and your home address.
Robert Anthony Praisner, 14 Pitt Road in Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you very much. Do you have an expert who's going to testify, or?
My architect's here, if you have any technical questions.
No, it's
But
up to you.
on,
Okay.
unless there's any kind of, that's why I have them, just for technical purposes. But basically, what we're trying to do is do a a fourth bedroom over the existing dining room. We're not looking to expand out or no cantilevers or anything like that. My daughter's getting older. She's in high school now. She wants to get, she wants her own room. I have a small bedroom for my son. He's turning 10, so we're kind of going to shift everybody around to build a master bedroom. You know how girls can be when they want their own bathroom in their bedroom. So that's one of the other reasons. And also my in-laws, they come and stay with us. And right now they basically sleep on the couch because I don't have any other room to put them into. So I have a pull-out sofa, but 70 years old man and woman kind of have a rough night on the sleeper sofa. So that's really it.
So there's no expansion other than vertical?
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Can you just go through the variances that you're requesting?
Side variance and for the front. Because it's 7.6 on the side, and I think it needs to be 8.
7.8.
7.8, so yeah, there's 2 inches on the side there. And then there's the front variance, I think it needs to be 30, and it's
21.2.
21.2, correct.
So you're just going for a vertical intensification of what's
Correct.
there, no change in the footprint?
Nothing.
Of any kind?
Nope.
Any other questions from the board? The materials that you're gonna use are gonna match the existing
Correct.
home?
Correct, yes. I'm a contractor myself, so we do pretty good work, so we'll make sure everything looks good.
Is there an original plan for the home? I'm looking at the plans now. I see the revised plan, but I don't.
Is there an original plan? Yes, we have that.
Okay.
Page A5.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I assume the bold on A4 is the addition space?
Correct.
Any further questions from the members of the board? None. Okay, I'm going to open it up to members of the public. Do you have any questions are there any members of the public who have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard on this application? Seeing none. Okay. I'm in favor of granting the relief that has been requested this evening.
I'll second that motion.
I move to approve.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
I think that it's an aesthetic improvement to the front of the house, and I think it's
Thank you.
an improvement on the streetscape.
Yes.
Good. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. No, we have a second too.
Yes.
Okay, we're voting.
Chair Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Furstenbaum.
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein.
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein.
Yes.
Ms. Naparano. Ms. Dodson.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Cunningham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Jody, about 5 minutes before Steve
That would be now.
What?
That's now.
Yeah, just saying, could I have about 5 minutes?
Oh, yes. Okay, the time is, I don't know what the time is. 6:55. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
We're good.
Okay, the time is 7 o'clock. We are back on the record, and we are going to call application 2024-11. This is Performance Mazda 2, 111 Route 22 East, Block 3801, Lot 4. This is a request for preliminary and final site plan, D3 variance and bulk variances for a car dealership. Good evening, how are you?
Good
Mr.
evening, Madam
Baylor? Nice
Chairwoman
to
and
see
board
you.
members. Great to see you all, and thank you for your continued service. We're here this evening, and if you recall, we were here a couple of years ago when Kevin bought the vacant building that is just to the east of the former Fortunoffs. He purchased that building and is planning on, in accordance with the approvals, do the renovations to that building. Unfortunately, Fortunoffs closed. They didn't renew their lease, and Kevin saw the opportunity and purchased that property next door. We're before this board because, similar with our previous application, there's a requirement that auto dealerships be 5 acres. This is less than 5 acres, but we're going to have our proofs as far as the conditional use. So the use is conditionally permitted. Again, we seek the conditional use variance. I do want to thank the two Mikes, Michael Disco and Michael Mistretta, for sending their reports. Actually, on Father's Day morning, they sent them over, and we sent them out to our team. So thank you for your efforts. And Jen, I know Jen was away, but Bruce and Jen also communicated and provided us with tonight's agenda. So again, I'll let Mr. DiPiano and our site engineer and planner explain in more detail, but essentially, there's going to be no change in the footprint of the building. It's going to be, the game plan is essentially to relocate, at least when I say temporarily, relocate to the Fortunoffs location, do the operation that's being done at the building just to the east, and when that building's done, they will both serve as a new car dealership with the ancillary used car service and the like. So and there will be a synergy between the two. The gate, there used to be a gate between the two properties. There's a fence there now. The gate will be reinstalled because there's no access to the rear of this property to the street behind. So actually the deliveries will occur on the adjacent property with the car carriers, so they're not, obviously they can't stop out on Route 22 or make the entrance in the front. And the layout is, as will be explained on the site plan, visitor parking out in front, vehicle display, and then service and employee parking to the rear. So the building will be, and I think you brought the rendering? I forgot the rendering. Okay. The building will be restuccoed and painted to match the rendering that was provided at the previous hearing a couple of years ago for the existing facility. So that's an overview of the application, and if there's no preliminary questions, I figured I'd have Kevin talk first, take us through a little bit about his ownership of the property. So I'd like to call upon Kevin DiPiano.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give us your business address.
Kevin DiPiano, capital D-I-P-I-A-N-O, 111 Route 22, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you.
So, Ms. DiPiano, I know you were here a couple of years ago. Just give the board a little background on your car dealership business, your acquisition of originally the property to the east, and now the acquisition of the Fortunoffs property.
So I do want to apologize to the board that our construction has not started yet on the property to the east. There is a little issue with some contamination that happened from, I guess, General Electric many years ago, and we're in negotiations with them, trying to get them to take responsibility for it. From what I understand, this has been ongoing for many years. So our construction kind of got moved back a little bit, but if we're getting to a resolve one way or the other, because I need to build this building. If you recall, when I got for lack of a better term, the tent approved to open up temporarily. It was supposed to be for a limited period of time. Well, now that I see what's going on with General Electric and you know, the need for more permanent way of doing business, and for safety reasons, when they go to tear down the other building, because as you recall, we're going to build a brand-new building, not just remodel what's there. I had an opportunity, because Fortunoff did not renew their lease, they moved out, and the gentleman who owns the building next door sold me the building. So I thought it better that we move into a more permanent home for now, while the other property gets demolished and built. And eventually, the sites will, when the new building is built, we'll move out of this site into the other site, and the buildings will work in conjunction with each other for all of our operations, sales, service, and pre-owned cars.
And generally touch on, by the way, these aren't your only locations, you've got a footprint.
Yes, we have another location on Route 1 in Woodbridge. We have, we meaning me, I have 5 locations on Route 10 between Cedar Knolls and Randolph, New Jersey, and 4 locations on Route 23.
So tell us a little bit about generally hours of operation, number of employees, and the general layout. We know that Rob is here to explain that in more detail, but if you could just give the board an overview.
So currently, we have 6 employees on site. It's gonna, when we move into, if we are allowed to move into the Fortunoff building, the number of employees will go up to 12. The hours of operation will not change from what we testified to at the original, which are sales is open from 9 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. at night, and service is open from 7:30 in the morning till 6 p.m. at night.
How many days a week?
5 days a week for sales and service. On the 6th day, meaning Saturday, we're open from 9 to 6 for sales and 7:30 to 4 for service.
All right. And then just generally, the layout of the parking, and I think it'll be explained more when we put the plan up, but overview of the parking, how it's going to be laid out, and is there sufficient parking for employees and customers of the site?
Yes. So if the members of the board recall, back when this used to be 24-hour fitness, they used to rent the rear parking lot of this, and that's what, if you look on our original site plan, it had a gate that entered the rear parking. They used to have customers park there. And then after 24-hour fitness had moved out or whatever they did, the back of this property was leased to Tesla, and they put a gate in on the other side, and Tesla was parking back there. The way this will operate for us is we're going to move our employees to park in the rear of 99 during construction, and 111 will be used for display, and the customer parking is along the front of the building, just as if you were going to walk into Fortunoff to buy an article at Fortunoff.
And then I also want you to confirm, because this is one of the conditions that was highlighted in both Mr. Fisco and Mr. Mistrita's report, that these will function as new car with ancillary for the used car.
Yes, both buildings will be inclusive of new car sales, used car sales, and service and the sale of parts. The reason why we can't combine the deeds to make one piece of property, they're owned in 2 different companies that I have, and they're financed with 2 different banks, so trying to get these people to agree, it just never works out.
And as far as I touched on it briefly with the delivery of the vehicles, how is that done now and will be in the future?
Now and in the future, the deliveries are done off Diamond Road. They come in off Diamond Road into our rear entrance of 99, and they park the trailer there, they unload, and then they pull out either back onto Diamond, or they pull straight through and enter onto Route 22.
And then with respect to the facade of the building, touch on that.
The facade of the building, it'll actually be a mirror image of, not quite a mirror image, because it won't be as nice as the new building, but it'll be black and white, if everybody remembers what the other building is supposed to look like. It'll be black and white, and it'll look exactly like the new operation.
All right, so there'll be a synergy between
Yes.
the look of those two. Okay. And then I know there was a comment with respect to landscaping. The site is pretty much paved. I know that at your other locations, you want to have a great-looking facade, which you're going to
Yes.
put on. What do you do as far as enhancing the landscaping?
Well, we'll move our existing landscaping like we did in front of the temporary facility over to that site as well. And then after the site is fully developed, we'll do some sort of low-lying planting along the highway
very tough to keep things alive there, because when they plow the snow, the way the property is situated, it's right up on the highway. So any snow that comes off of the state plow usually covers the cars. And it's very difficult, but some low-lying plants will or should survive.
And then you've had an opportunity, I know we reviewed them in detail, the reports from both the board engineer, Mr. Disco, and the board planner, Mr. Mistretta. Any problem complying with any of those terms and conditions?
Not at all. I hope everybody's been satisfied with our actions so far since we got our last approvals.
I have no further preliminary questions of Mr. Tiziano.
Thank you. Members of the board, any questions?
I have a couple of questions. Do you need any signed special approvals, or is that could be another submission, or?
No, we actually have a
Yeah,
request
our
for a sign.
engineer and planner will touch on the sign.
And now that you're open next door, what do you do for service right now?
So we've been using the rear of the old building for some light service, and the rest of the service has been going back and forth to Wayne, New Jersey, back and forth, and it's creating a detriment to the customers and things of that nature.
And so the development of 111, are you going to put a service
Yes.
department in there?
Yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Any other questions from board members?
None.
Okay. Any questions from our professionals?
Yeah, is there going to be a gate opening between the two sites? Steve touched on it.
Yes.
Could you describe the existing gate to the proposed gate?
The old gate that was there before we put up our fence, before I acquired this property, was a rolling gate. I guess it was about 15 or 18 feet wide, when the gym used to park there and when Tesla parked there. And we're just going to replace what was there.
And that's in the rear of the building at 111?
It's in the rear of 111 and the side of 99.
Okay.
Questions?
Yeah, just that, I believe the testimony was that they agree with our reports, and they're gonna provide additional documents that address these comments, such as, like, you described the architecture, what you described is not labeled on the plan, so you're gonna get updated plans showing the architecture, the improvements, the gate, the connection between the properties, essentially all the testimony tonight, that it's described on a plan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Open to the public. Is there anyone from the public who have any questions for the witness? None.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Robert Costa.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, your business address.
Absolutely. The name is Robert Louis Costa, C-O-S-T-A, 325 South River Street in Hackensack, New Jersey.
All right. Mr. Costa, I know you were here in October of 2022. Time goes by so quickly.
I actually had more hair.
Yes.
Yes.
Mine wasn't as gray. But if you could briefly give the board your credentials, you'll be wearing a hat both as professional engineer and professional planner?
Yes.
Okay.
Professional engineer, 34702 in New Jersey. Professional planner, 4639. Currently, the town engineer in River Edge, New Jersey. The land use engineer in River Edge, New Jersey. City of Englewood, the planning board engineer. We go to the land use engineer. We do work for the county of Bergen. And I think I said this earlier, Madam Chair and the members of the board. As I'm getting closer to death, I'm actually doing expert cases in court and having some fun with that. But other than that, nothing has changed. My license, I believe, are in standing because I just paid them. And they actually, I didn't even realize this. They actually give you these things when you pay. It's unbelievable.
Any objections to qualifying this witness as an expert in engineering and an expert in planning? None, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Costa, if you could take the board through existing conditions and what's proposed by way of improvements, and I see you have mounted board. I don't believe the colored version was submitted, so perhaps we can mark that as A1, Mr. Bergen.
And just what's the title in the lower right-hand corner?
Yeah. Rob, if you can just identify, give that a title.
Again, for the record, site plan, Performance Mazda 2, block 3801, lot 4, Township of Springfield, Union County, New Jersey, dated April 9th, 2024.
Thank you. And a non-color version was submitted? This is just,
Non-color version, this is enlarged and colorized.
thank you.
Otherwise, it's identical in your package to sheet 3 or 4.
Okay. Yes, A1 with today's date. '18.
So you heard, obviously, testimony from Mr. Viviano. You heard a brief description from Steve. So what they did, based on your approval package, October, I think it was, 22, you granted, so had to grant variances. Obviously, the biggest one was the conditional use. In this zone, the highway commercial, you allow ongoing use. One of the caveats is you need 5 acres of property. That site, from my recollection, has around 3.5 acres, give or take. This site is 1.43. So if you combine the two, you literally are there with your 5 acres. So it actually, by combining the two properties.
Can we have you use one of the mics?
Oh, sure.
Trying to keep my voice up. Thank you. Sorry about that. So basically, if you combine the two properties, it's going to get very close to the requirement in your code, which is it's under H, and that would be under your conditional uses. Specific requirements under 35-41.2, and that would be H, that the minimum size must be 5 acres. So basically, everything would be the same. You heard what Kevin testified earlier. Currently, there's the temporary tent. Temporary tent was going to be there, construct the building, take down the temporary tent, and go into the site. As the opportunity arose itself, you heard earlier, he purchased the property when it came available. Now the idea is to get rid of the temporary fence, move the business temporarily into this location, then move it out of this location, I believe, if I'm saying it incorrectly, when the new facility is constructed and built. Then once that's moved out, then come back over to this site, and then obviously do the improvements that we're discussing. So the parking, all of the parking stripes will be changed. Everything on the site basically remains the same. Certainly willing to do a landscape plan. We'll submit that to your board professionals. But everything else that went with the first application is nearly identical to this application. The only caveat being, because there's two separate entities that own it, he cannot consolidate the entire parcel into one. So technically, you obviously need a variance, but this site will not operate independently from the other one. So in the event he decides to sell a portion of it, it's still going to be one site as one Mazda. If that goes away, it'll never act on its own accord under this 1.43 acres. If you understand what I'm saying? Even though technically it's not combined, but realistically it is combined. So we need a variance, but we're getting very close if you add in the other lot in that number.
And if you could take the board through.
I don't know if, Madam Chair, if you understand exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you grant this variance, you're not granting a variance to put a Mazda dealership strictly on this particular lot. It's going to act in accordance with the other lot, together as one.
And that includes, obviously, deliveries.
Right.
Because they've got to come in the back all the time.
So it'll never be separate. So I'm just trying to give confidence to the board where we would need a variance because of the size itself of the 1.4 acres, because 5 is required. But in reality, this piece is going to work in conjunction with the other piece, so you're getting close to the 5-acre requirement. And it'll never be separated.
And take us through, based on Kevin's testimony, the area where the display will be,
So,
the area of visitor parking.
absolutely.
And then employee parking, and then service parking.
No problem. So in the front would be display area. This, along the building front would actually be the visitor and the handicap ADA requirements. On the rear of the property would be obviously the service area. We're proposing a ramp because of the grade difference between the existing parking lot and the actual first floor of the building. You'll have a ramp to get inside the building. The refuse area will be in this location. All of these parking spaces that I'm actually looking at will be restriped according. I believe there's 58 parking spaces currently on the site. With this scenario, there'll be 66 parking spaces, where 90 are required based on the size of the building. The building is not being expanded, so there's no additional square footage on the outside. The only change, again, is the ramp because of the grade difference to get inside the building.
And what is the gate that was referred to, so that vehicles could be brought in?
So it would come in off a diamond as it does today. There would be a connection between the two properties, and basically the grade difference between the two are very close. So it looks as if there's a drop curb out there when I went out there this afternoon, so at some point, there was definitely movement between the 99 side, right? 99 and the 111 side. So right now, there's a guide rail because that was part of the original approval when we came here in '22.
And then touch also briefly on the signage.
Same sign that was approved in '22 would be the same here. It's the Mazda logo, same dimensions, same. So the only difference is we're proposing it at the easterly corner in the front, obviously at the entry. Identical to what we stated earlier, or originally in the '22 application. It's the same exact sign. And that would be on page 4 of 4, on the upper right-hand corner.
Now, in addition to the conditional use variance, there's a number of existing conditions. If you could just briefly summarize and provide justification.
Absolutely. Again, we're not dealing with a clean slate. Obviously, it's an existing building, and based on the existing conditions of the building and the survey, there's existing conditions. So the side yard, 25 feet is required in the zone. Existing condition is 19.8. On the other side yard, same thing, 25 feet is required. It's 19.8. The rear yard's 50 feet. We meet that, 142 feet. Parking, again, as I stated earlier, 90 parking spaces are required based on the square footage. And if you look to the middle of the page, the requirement under 35-23.2A, 1 space for every 200 square feet of gross floor area. And when you do the arithmetic, roughly 18,000 square feet divided by 200, 90 is actually required. Excuse me. Based on 58 that exist today, with the restriping, we get to 68 parking spaces. Or I'm sorry, 66. And then because of the EVs, you get a credit for 2 parking spaces.
And I know you've worked on quite a few of the car dealerships. We know the ordinance requires the 1 space for every 200.
Correct.
Based upon your experience as a professional planner, professional engineer, is parking adequate? I know that.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
the
there's no
difference
question.
between, let's say, a standard retail and car dealership.
Certainly much less volume. Again, most of it is service, for the most part, most of the ones I'm doing now. I'm actually working on a site in Hackensack for Toyota. And the big thing now is everything is service with the cars because of the, I guess, the sophistication with the computer systems and whatnot. So there's more of that as far as service, but the actual sales, speaking to Kevin earlier, he would like more people to buy more cars because he told me the inventory he has right now. But in reality, it's not a high volume. It's not a ShopRite or a Whole Foods. It's not the gym. It's not even close to that. So in anything, it's probably much less of an impact than what was there previously.
And from an engineering and planning standpoint, and I think
No. And again, it falls under a D3 because of the conditional use. So I think I stated this back in '22, and I would hope they concur. The bar is set lower under the Coventry in Westwood, under that lawsuit. Since the bar is lower because the governing body thought about having this use on these properties, the only caveat being the limitation of the 5 acres that's required. And because of that, technically, it's a permitted use if you meet the conditions. Obviously, we can't meet the conditions because of the geometry, but again, based on the area, based on what's happening next door, based on Tesla, based on Nissan, based on AutoEnd, this is where the community wants this, obviously, to happen. There's going to be no negative impact, in my opinion, to any of the adjacent property owners.
I have no further questions this time.
Thank you. Members of the board, do you have any questions for the witness? None?
Question for you. The purpose of this, the purpose of the variance is for the use, the conditional use of the property. The fact that it's being used symbiotically with the existing property that's already been granted. I guess my question also too for you, Bruce, is it would not be a conditional use variance for itself standing on its own.
It is a conditional use variance standing on its own, which is what we're here for tonight.
Right.
What I'm saying is, because they're going to work in concert, the requirement of 5 acres, you're getting very close. This is 1.4, and the adjacent property is, I believe, 3.5.
Right, they're sort of combined.
So if you combine them, the issue is, you can't, he cannot physically combine them at this,
No,
today,
right, that's
because
all.
you have 2 different
Right.
ownerships and 2 different financing on the properties. But as far as the overall look, when this is all complete, it's going to look like a car dealership on 5 acres of property, which then would meet the conditions.
Yeah, I think along where you are, my understanding is what they're asking for will not, if they sell off, I'm confused, 99 was the original? Yeah. They sell off 99, it can't stand alone.
We'd have to
No,
condition that.
It would be that
We'd
condition.
have to condition
Condition,
that.
That's what I'm asking.
That's correct. It depends what the board does. The suggestion from the applicant's expert is that the 2 of them will be operating together. If this board could just grant the conditional use variance on this lot separately, in which case they would be free to only use one lot or the other.
But we can condition.
You could condition that if they wish to sell off one of the lots, that they would need to come back to this board for a new,
That's what I was,
essentially a new conditional use variance for the piece that's left.
right, I think, Mark, that's what you were asking too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this couldn't become a Ferrari dealer on the next thing or whatever.
I can't get in and out of those anymore, so I don't know. Now, but what I'm trying to say to the board is, it's going to, they're going to be.
The microphone, Steve, the microphone. You speak the microphone.
You got it.
I apologize.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
It's for the recording.
I understand, I apologize. But again, just for the board, because again, cars are coming off of Diamond, this has no access to that other than through 99. So they have to work in conjunction, otherwise it's a completely
Right.
different application, and it does,
guess-
in my opinion, it has to, right now, it has to work together. The only thing, you're gonna have a phase 1, phase 2, because you need to move the tent, get the operation where Fortunoff was, construct the building, take the operation out of the Fortunoff, renovate the Fortunoff, and then put everything together. And at the end of the day, you'll have a nice, very nice looking, aesthetically pleasing dealership on Route 22 East.
That again, I just was more concerned with the fact that doing the conditional use for the smaller piece of parcel of land, that if you sold off the main part, that, hey, we could still have an operated dealership here because it is granted under the variance, so that's what I would,
Saying we,
yeah, put the condition on it.
That's why you got these 2 gentlemen to craft an ordinance. I'm sorry, a resolution, I apologize.
Where are the vehicles stored? I think we touched on that in the first application, but where will they be stored again?
Wait, microphone?
There'll be display up front, in the parking spaces up front. If you need the actual number, I gotta walk over there. And then in the rear, again, this will be service, and there'll be employee parking, but the majority of it, I believe, is in the rear of 99. And then obviously during construction, there's gonna be some logistics. The good news is Kevin's building if anybody's gone up 23, it's almost completed. He's building a new Mazda dealership on Route 23, almost complete, probably within end of July, say August. So if anybody's gone up there and taken a look at the building, you'll see the quality, you'll see what's going on there. And at the end of the construction on this, you're going to have a very good-looking structure. And again, logistically, he owns other places. So if he's got to move inventory around, it'll be moved around. It's not going to be a nuisance to the community.
So can we put a condition that cars have to only be parked in designated spots on the, I think that's what we did last time, that it can't be.
Yeah, same type of condition.
Okay.
They got to be in the parking spaces. That's what
Because we don't want to have like
We have a
tripled
copy
up.
of it,
Right.
Steve actually has a copy of the resolution. I read it earlier just to refresh my memory, but that's what the board did.
So I would suggest that we would repeat that.
Any other questions from our board members? Okay, I'm gonna turn it to our professionals.
Sure. Could you please provide some testimony on the 4 variances related to the sign, the freestanding sign, that are identified on your plans?
Well, why don't you use this one?
Absolutely. So on the actual signage, and again, it's on page 404, the requirement is area 75 square feet. We're proposing 78.75. We're proposing the sign depth of 2 feet, 2.08 feet. The support structure, 78.75. We're at 84.46. And the side yard, 25 feet, we're at 22. And again, where this is, it's within the existing island that's on site, so. This isn't working. But that's why the 22 feet instead of 25, otherwise we have to start reconfiguring the driveway, the entry coming into the site. The other variance is, again, a de minimis, in my opinion, and actually, what I stated earlier, the board actually, it's the same exact sign that was approved on the adjacent property. Nothing's different. So it's.
But the adjacent property is substantially larger. This one's a lot smaller. I was just curious, some of these variances from 75 feet to 70, is that 6 or 70?
70, I think it's 78, 3 square feet.
It seems like they could be eliminated. What's going, I don't understand the language on your plans regarding the proposed sign, freestanding sign on 99 or the adjacent one, and how that sign being moved here. Is there another sign going back up on the other property? I didn't understand.
The idea was that sign was going to move to this property, and then this sign would move back to that property. But again, based on the discussion this afternoon,
So, and also touch on, I know, like, exactly what you raised as far as you're that close. It's a dealership requirement, but I'll let Kevin explain it more. Here, speak into the mic.
Excuse me. So initially, the sign that we proposed, first of all, the size of the sign is dictated to us by the manufacturer. They go to an outside sign company, not a local one, it's a national company, just like a Burger King or a McDonald's, and the M has to be a certain size and whatnot. So they only make certain size signs, and you get the catalog and you pick ideally, it's meant to, you're picking something close enough to what doesn't need a variance. So this was the closest size sign that we can get to something that wouldn't need a variance. So the same sign that was gonna go in front of the 99 is the same sign that's gonna take the place of the old Fortunoff sign for Mazda. Then when we move to 99, that sign comes over to 99.
So your goal is not to have two signs?
No, not at this time, no.
So we probably have to put that into any kind of resolution.
Excuse me.
You said that these signs are prefabricated at like a certain size. So what's the size, I guess, below the one that you?
This is the smallest sign they
This
make.
is the smallest one, okay.
If you come up to Wayne, and what they do is they do a traffic study, and it's supposed to, what dictates the size or the way the sign is positioned is if there's angles in the road, and how you're approaching, so you see it. Wayne on Route 23, the road looks like it goes straight, but if you get far enough back, the road actually curves this way. So the sign they have up there is almost 100 square feet. So it's much wider, and it's filled in between the posts. This only has the top portion is filled in.
Thank you.
Another question for the engineer. I don't see the gate that you described or testified to on the plans. When you add the gate to the plans, and the car carriers are parked on 99, will the movement of the cars between the two properties require an elimination of any parking spaces on either one of the two properties?
I'm sorry.
No.
And maybe you could just identify on A1, take the mic, please. Where, sir?
If you see, on the plan, there's depiction drop curb on both sides. That was actually the connection. But the gate was removed, so it's a solid fence. So under this, we'd have to modify the plan to show a gate to get access back and forth. But it's actually almost at the same grade to traverse both properties. But again, we'll revise the plans accordingly, do resolution compliance to make sure that what we set on the record tonight actually gets on the plans. Your professionals will certainly review it in conjunction with, obviously, the attorneys and the board to vet this to make sure that what we said is what goes on the plan so it gets done in the future.
Is that a two-way movement between the two properties?
Well, technically, it would only be for employees moving vehicles, but it wouldn't be for the public. So the gate would be shut when they have to move vehicles back and forth. Obviously, the gate opens up, but it wouldn't be for customers or the public to go back and forth in between the two properties with vehicles.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think your testimony was that there will be some parking of vehicles, correct me if I'm wrong, but there'll be a movement between the two properties. I'm thinking out loud, does there need to be any designated walkways for people walking between the two properties so they could go back and forth? To the revised plan?
Yeah, I'm not sure where we could, possibly we could do that, or at least put maybe a striped crosswalk or some signage this way, just to demarcate where employees would go back and forth between the two sites.
And then lighting between, are you going to provide a lighting plan for?
Lighting, we're going to use the existing lighting, unless, again, we can certainly do a lighting plan based on the adjacent property that was approved. We could match that lighting on this site, but right now, we want to use the existing lighting, obviously do the renovation on 99, the adjacent property, finish that, and again, then move this over to that new building, and then start the renovation on the old Fortunoff on this site.
So you don't foresee upgrading or changing or new lighting plan?
I'm going to make him do it, but he doesn't like to spend money. We know that. We all know that. But I'll make him do it. So everything, it's got to look obviously like one site. So the buildings have to match, the architecture has to match, the site has to match, landscaping will be put on the plans, and certainly you'll vet it, and certainly the board will vet it. And we will do lighting.
I'm good.
Couple of simple things. In comment 8, I said the fate of the gate to Lot 2 should be discussed. This was the Tesla. Is that going to remain, or will that be lost?
The one that goes between Tesla and this property?
There's a little,
That'll be eliminated.
Be eliminated, okay. The plans call for the restriping of parking spaces. Is there any intent to pave or seal coat prior to the restriping?
Right now, we'll seal coat, and then I would imagine, once all of the construction is done, I would imagine it would probably be a mill and pave at that point, and then restripe.
Is there any involvement of DOT for access permits?
We're gonna have to look into that. There might be a requirement, but again, that would be a condition of the approval.
Any transformer proposed on this site?
No.
There was a comment, my last comment was about the sanitary sewer connection to Diamond on the original property, which we later discovered there's no sanitary sewer main there. That probably hasn't been realized yet by the internal people, but that may require some utility redesign on 99. Yeah, the adjacent property tried to do a sewer tie-in, and the manholes were non-sanitary sewer. And then, I think, I'm not sure if it was Mr. Cunningham or Mr. Hochstein, about the parking in these spaces. We had mentioned no stacked parking should be permitted, and what we have at the Tesla site is that they are parking in non-striped spaces. So whatever condition was in the original one that you want to have, I would certainly encourage that to control the free-for-all of car dealership parking outside of designated or approved parking spaces. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Great. Bruce, let's add that as a condition, please.
I have one other question about, I understand how your cars are gonna be delivered from the next road. What about deliveries for your car parts and the different things that are going? Is that gonna come in and around the building and then go back?
Yes, our parts are delivered by much smaller vehicles. They're not delivered by tractor trailer. They're delivered by box trucks. And if you look on the plan, I believe there's a loading zone on the westerly side of the
I see
building.
where it says proposed parts delivery?
Yes,
I was
yes.
just thinking about the
Right.
truck coming through and around.
Right.
Not big trucks?
No, they're small box trucks.
Do you do any body work or painting or anything in these buildings?
Can you answer out loud?
Oh, sorry. No, I don't.
Thank you.
Mike, you said you're good?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public who have any questions for this witness? None. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. We have no further witnesses at this time. Obviously, the two witnesses that appeared this evening are here if there's further questions from the board. And if there's no public comment, I'll just briefly sum up.
Okay, thank you. Steve, we're going to open it for public comment, but first I want to hear if our professionals have any comments that they want to give the board on the application.
The only comments I had, if there's a motion, I have several conditions that Bruce may enumerate, and if he doesn't, I will add to it.
Okay.
Same comment, just with the primary one being the motion tying the two properties together. This property will operate as a car dealership only as it's tied to the adjacent property, and including all of the testimony that was put on the record tonight, which was quite a bit that should be captured, that would be captured and tied to as a condition of any approval should the board vote favorably.
Yes.
In addition to addressing the missing items or additional information that's requested in our reports.
Thank you. Okay, so before we deliberate, I'm going to open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this application? None. Okay. Members of the board? I am in favor of granting the site plan application, the request for the D3 variance, the bulk variances in order for this construction or fit out, maybe, of the existing building for the Mazda dealership. I do not think that it will cause any detriment to any of the adjacent properties. I think for the reasons that were said on the record, we can grant it, but I would like, if there is a motion, that we hear from our professionals to make sure that every condition that we discussed this evening is included in the resolution.
I'll make a motion with the professionals citing their conditions.
You want me to, I'll give you what I have.
Barbara, what you got,
You
yep.
can tell me what I missed. First condition is that the use variance for this property is subject to it being used in conjunction with the 99, the dealership next door. Second, parking will take place only in line spaces. I'm not 100% sure if this was requested. Do we want to, is there a required walkway marked between the two buildings? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then, final plans to be submitted for approval by the township, incorporating any changes made tonight and incorporating any missing items per the expert reports. That's what I have.
And that could include the walkway, the seal coating, the gate addition,
Sorry, what was it?
the walkway that you mentioned, the seal coating,
Okay.
the additional landscaping and lighting. These could all be as an umbrella site plan revision condition, however, as long as they're mentioned. The gates, the linkages, however you want to say that.
And the removal of the gate. Mike, did you say something about the water, the sewage?
Yeah, it's really for the first one, so they'll have to adjust.
First.
Yeah.
Also, that,
The removal of the gates and the signs,
That, there was only gonna be one sign because we're moving it to the second property.
That's set forth in the application, but if you want, I'll put it in the
Oh,
resolution.
no, it was already, that they're not gonna, when they do the second building, they're not gonna put a second sign.
I do recall seeing that in the application, that they're going to move the sign.
Okay.
and the only other thing, if you feel it's important, that no painting or the body work, because that sometimes throws it into a different use category. But I'm comfortable relying on the record, but however you want to document it.
That's up to the board.
Just want to clarify, apologize for one item, with respect to the lighting. The request would be that, yes, ultimately, this building is going to be new lighting and all that, but while it's in its quote-unquote temporary stage, while they're renovating their other one, then they'll come back when they renovate the Fortune office building and do the lighting and all the landscaping and all of that.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah, just want to clarify that, thank you.
Mike, did you have any conditions that you wanted to add?
I think they've covered it with their comment that they've agreed to address all of our comments in our project review reports, because I don't think that would address the stucco, the finishing of the architecturals, the colors. There's a lot of testimony. None of that is on the plans, but they had the overall arching comment, because it's in our review letters, that they're gonna submit revised documents on, they testified the stucco report requests all 4 sides of the building elevations to be treated to the same level of architectural design, interest, and building materials. So by agreeing to that, that is covered. They testified that the car carriers will only park on 99, and all deliveries will be made between those 2 properties. There's no car carriers trying to get onto this site. They testified to a black and white color similar to the new building. I don't know if that is, that was the testimony. No stacked parking, Mike already stated, as well as parking within all of the striped areas only. And that's all I have in addition. All of that's covered in my letter, so if you were just, they said that they would agree to the letter, so I don't know if you need that, make that an additional condition or not.
I think it's covered by the language.
Yeah. Okay. And we have a catch-all for state agency approvals? Yes. Okay. Yes.
Is going to receive new fascia on the front, but the sides will be painted to match that same color in the light, because it's block, and it's a side that's really not visible.
Our report suggested all 4 sides, because all 4 sides of the building are visible.
Right.
Highly visible. So we recommended not just doing the front facade and then having a block wall on the sides and the rear, especially as you have customers and public walking and traversing between the 2, and the testimony that they would satisfy that in our, and that's why we asked for the updated architecturals.
We can submit an architectural plan for their review. I think we can do nice colors on the building to match the front. Is that, you want? Sorry, Dick, I just.
So currently, the building is not bare cinder block on the back 3 sides. It's cinder block with stucco over it. So the stucco is going to be changed by being painted to the colors of black and white, like the Mazda building next door.
Not sure if that satisfies.
I thought it was block, but you're right. So it's
Yeah.
stucco
Right.
already.
It's already been stucco,
So-
we're just changing the color.
Our comment was that all 4 sides are treated to the same level of architectural interest.
Because of the visibility?
Yes.
I understand.
And the use
Yes.
of building materials and colors.
Will you agree to that condition, to match all building materials and colors for all 4 sides of the building?
Yes, but I think there's a matter of interpretation, because the front gets new stucco because we're creating different holes, but the sides are already stuccoed. All you can do is use stucco paint. You can't stucco on top of stucco on top of stucco. It'll just fall off the building.
We can supply a rendering for.
It'll look exactly, the new building has the same thing. They use stucco paint across a parged wall. Parged wall is just, it's cement put over the top of cinder block to make it smooth.
Need a detail. Need a detail?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll submit that.
That's fine.
Okay. So we will have a submission for the architectural detail. And
Sorry for interrupting.
if there's a need to revisit it, because the condition, it's not satisfying the condition, then we'll revisit it?
Then we'll have to come back here.
Yes. Mr. Haley, you're okay with that? Okay. Okay.
I'll second.
Oh, was there a motion?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. It's been a while. Thank you.
yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Furchenbaum?
Yes.
Ms. Naparano?
Yes.
Ms. Dodson?
Yes.
And Chair Coe?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
All right.
Aye, aye, aye. Have a great night, everyone.